Welcome to the Authentic Spiritual Journey, a weekly podcast featuring real and practical spiritual conversations from diverse perspectives here on the Experience of the Soul podcast channel. Today, episode 239, Release Old Baggage. And now your host, Reverend Cynthia Alice Anderson.
Hello and welcome to the Authentic Spiritual Journey. My name is Cynthia Alice Anderson, also lovingly known as RCA, and I am the host, and I am here today in my home studio. And friends, I am so excited you're along for the ride. Oh my goodness. I cannot believe it is still the new year and the year's moving along. I can't believe we're already at the 16th of January in 2023. Wow, this is amazing how fast the year is going, and I'm excited. Can you tell? My voice is probably talking quickly, and there's excitement in my voice because I love to help people grow, prosper, and evolve. And it just so happens I am right now in the middle of my series, Dream Big, Live Big. Dream Big, Live Big is one of those things that you'll hear me talk about as time goes on because it has become my most popular class, and I teach it to people around the world. And it also connects in with another one of my materials, my book, 7 Spiritual Laws of Release. And I want you to know this is not a sales pitch. I just can't help but be excited about it. I don't want to try to convince you to do this, but what I want to do is share these teachings with you in a way that inspires you to try it. I just want you to be inspired, not forced, not coerced, not the fear of missing out, right? I want you to feel inspired to try to live a spiritual life. We started this month with talking about intentions for the new year, not resolutions. We said resolutions are basically wishes without commitment. And I know we've all had those. I know I have. You know, we say, what is your New Year's resolution? Or somebody says to us, what is your New Year's resolution? And we go, oh, well, I want to lose 10 pounds. I want world peace. And, I want to go off my meds. And then we do nothing about it. Right? And so we said, rather than doing that, let's slow it down. Let's begin to do some spiritual work. Let's work from the level of the soul where we begin to dial through what are our dreams? What are our desires? Like, if I could have an intention that takes me through the year, what would that be? What are those higher intentions? Not what do I want, but who am I to be this year? Like how am I being called to grow into my next phase of being? How am I being called to grow? And so we said to do that, you're going to need to take a little time. I love to take time in the morning to set my intention, to get clear, to be quiet, to be at peace. And just allow myself time to think, to feel into things, to try things on, think through. And sometimes it's going to require like what happened last year, going back to that a little bit and just thinking, well, if I could change any of that, what would I want to change it to? And just allowing those feelings, those thoughts to begin informing those higher spiritual intentions for how do I want to show up in 2023? Then after we said, sit with that intention, take time to go outside, be at peace. Then that next week we said, you know what? Now that you're starting to get clear on this feeling tone, this energy, this spiritual intention you want to live from, what if you simply allowed yourself to dream a little bit? To dream with no blocks, with no edits, with no limits. What if you just allowed yourself to dream? Can you imagine if you allowed yourself to dream, what would happen? The reason I have you do this is because most of us spend a great deal of our lives wishing something else would have happened. What we know through doing our own work is that no matter how much we wish something wouldn't have happened, we're not going to go back and change the past. But what we are going to do is envision what's possible. So when we stay stuck in the past, when we stay stuck in what happened, when we let what happened determine our future completely, well, then we are kind of self-imposing, what I like to call the glass ceiling in life, right? We're self-imposing this limit on ourselves. And so when you allow yourself to dream and dream big, what some of you I know have been doing is every day for the last week, you've been writing 10 impossible things. 10 impossible things every day. And people always say, well, if they're impossible, why am I writing them down? Well, you're writing them down because even though you think they're impossible, they're actually not. They're actually not impossible. They just feel impossible. As you write them down, especially every day, as you write down 10 impossible things, what happens is, the first thing that happens is you start to see a pattern in the things that really matter to you. The first day, you'll get real wild. Oh, I want to do this. I want to do that. And, it may or may not be what you want to do 5 days from now, 10 days from now. But you allow your ego to have that wish so that it can be released. Right? It can be released into the universe. And it's amazing that this incredible intelligence of your soul will begin to sift through and help bring order to the seeming chaos of all those impossible things. And pretty soon, what's going to happen is you see a pattern in the things that you actually want. And so today, show 239, I can't believe I didn't even give the title yet. Today's show 239, the title is Releasing Old Baggage, or Release Old Baggage. Release Old Baggage. And the reason that's after dreaming is what we begin to discover as we have these lofty dreams and these new goals. You can't hold on to the past and move forward at the same time. If you do, it's pretty hard. It's pretty arduous work. And it's like dragging boulders behind you, friends. What we want to do is be able to move forward into our next steps, forward into living our dreams, forward into accomplishing our goals, forward into beautiful relationships and happiness, and releasing old baggage. So what is old baggage? Well, old baggage is self-limiting beliefs. Old baggage is self-limiting beliefs. In other words, what we all do ultimately is in our years of growing up, we take on certain things that were said to us as true. We take on thoughts and beliefs and even ideas that the people around us had in the home we grew up in. And we can't help it. It's part of growing up. It's part of how you establish your identity and what we call the personality, or you'll also hear it called in spiritual circles, the ego. This is how the personality and ego are formed. So what you don't realize as that's forming at a young age, you're simply doing what you need to survive. You're figuring out how to get the love you need by taking on the thoughts, the feelings, the beliefs, and the ideas of the people around you. It's a normal part of being an aspect of a family system. It's a normal part of being an aspect, any aspect of a family system. So as you grow and mature in age, what happens is you keep holding on to those limiting beliefs of your childhood, and we often live as if those are still true. We live as if those are still true, even though clearly they are not. So they become self-limiting because we are still believing they're true, even when we have evidence to the contrary. So number one in releasing old baggage is self-limiting beliefs. Self-limiting beliefs. There often are things that need to be released as well on the physical level. I've been working with a lot of clients that are moving forward in their careers, and one of the key things they're finding is that to release things from past work situations that are physical, even physical reminders, old lanyards, old name tags, notebooks, old documents that they just had on their computer that were taking space in their office. Simply releasing these old things is helping them move more fully into the present and more easily move forward in their career. So even though the deepest work is some of the deepest work is the self-limiting beliefs, there is work to be done on the physical level. So physical releasing of old aspects. And what we know is that it's not that the old aspects are bad. We're not demonizing the past, but what we are doing is removing the energy from our, from directly impacting us and moving it out, because that says to the universe, I'm ready to receive new work energy, right? Because we're not holding on to the past. It seems very subtle, and at times it can be, but I have heard story after story of manifestation of new work, new incomes, and new opportunities when the old is being released on the physical. And of course, this is true with relationships. If you're holding on to old rings and old things and old clothes or old gifts, if they hold an energy for you that is negative, especially, it is important to release it. You may say, well, some of these things I've had for 20 years. So you do as you're guided. Please do not get rid of anything that you love that brings you joy. But if you feel a negativity, if it connects you to the past in a negative way, if you're feeling stuck in the relationship area, you might think about, is there some physical release I need to do of my clothes, of my jewelry, of pictures? Somehow I'm holding on to that past aspect of my life. It can be very, very important in romantic relationship. So we talked about releasing all baggage is dealing with self-limiting beliefs. I want to go back to that one because I realized I talked about it like, oh yeah, just release these. And first of all, you have to know what they are. So sometimes some coaching, sometimes some therapeutic work is going to really be necessary for you to begin to see what those self-limiting beliefs are. It's really interesting because as I've been coaching more and more and more in the business sector, and now I'm moving into doing more sports and athletics, and working with athletes. It's really interesting the work that has to be done on the self-limiting beliefs. It's really interesting, the work that has to be done there. And what I've learned is that every good athlete has a good coach. So sometimes you don't know what the problem is. A coach has to show you, right? So if you're working with some of these levels for relationship, for career, for, healing your emotional life, you may need a kind of coach for those areas of your life, just like an athlete might need a coach to improve their game or their golf swing or their success mindset. So what I'm saying here, friends, is to live your dreams, to move forward on the journey, you're going to need to release. You need to release old baggage. Number one is self-limiting beliefs. Number two is physical releasing. Again, if it's career, you got to go through the things in your work life. One of my students from years ago, many years ago, he had written his thesis on this laptop, and he had become so attached to the laptop. And he was in one of my classes where I was talking about release. And as he brought the laptop to release it, he said it was hard to part with the laptop, but that as he did, he felt like he grew up in releasing that because there was this trust that more was going to be available. So even though he had written his master's several years before, he was still holding on to the laptop, even though he wasn't using it, even though he had a nicer computer. And he realized, when he released it, not only was he releasing the past, he was helping somebody who was a potential student that might need that very laptop to do exactly what he had done on it. So it ended up helping him release the past. And it also helped him because he felt good about helping somebody who might need it to do the very thing he did. So yes, and we talked about physical releasing also at the level of helping us rather on the level of romantic relationship or even friendships. If we're holding on to old things with negative energy, we want to release those things. We want to release those things. Some of this work of release is going to be difficult. It might even take you to your knees a few times. But what I've learned is that there is trust that's inherent in any release, because when you release, you are believing, you have a faith that more and better will be available to you. So every time you release, it is a step in faith. Every time you release, it is a moving forward. Every time you release, it is a trust and universal support. Every time you release, it is a step of faith. It is a trusting in the universe. It is knowing all is well and I will be provided for. It's tremendous, tremendous work. Probably the biggest work in releasing old baggage is forgiveness. If you've followed my work long, you know that forgiveness is a cornerstone of my work. Forgiveness frees and forgiveness heals, and it releases us emotionally and spiritually from the bonds of the past. Forgiveness is probably the single most important spiritual practice you can do. Forgiveness is the key to freeing your soul. Forgiveness frees, forgiveness heals. Forgiveness helps you give energy and receive energy. And so that word forgive, the great author Dr. Catherine Ponder said, to forgive means to give for. And she says, what do you give for? Well, you give away your resentment and negativity and receive unconditional love. So as you seek to forgive, what you're doing is releasing old toxic energy that is of no use to you anymore. As you forgive, you are breaking the bonds of the past and moving into the freedom and to the reality of the present, where everything is possible for you. So friends, release is largely releasing old baggage. To release old baggage is largely forgiveness. It is working with your thoughts, but it is releasing as well on the physical level. But remember that every area of release. Every area requires trust, and it is trust that you will be supported by the whole universe. So, as you're beginning to really dream and allow yourself to dream without any edits, you're going to be guided what is yours to release largely by where you feel the blocks when you write something down. If you say, "Oh, I want to fly to Europe," and the first thing you say is, "Oh, there's never going to be enough money," then that's where your work is. Your work is in that one limiting belief. Start there. If you say, "I want to make, $30,000 more next year," and your limiting belief is, "Oh, you'll never make that." Okay, start there. You'll know what is yours to do by which belief is up, in your mind. You will know what's yours to do, but what is up close and personal and continues to come forward for you as a block. So it's not going to be a question of what's yours to release. The question will be, which order will you do it in? But simply admitting that there's a block is the beginning of the healing for you. Because what a lot of people do is they just stay in this wish spiritual la la land and say, "Oh, I'm bringing in all this goodness, and there's the isness of the allness of the oneness, and God is providing for me." But then they do no work to make space to bring that good in and through their lives. So what I'm talking about is real deep soul work where you say, "Man, I am getting in my own way." And if you're not sure how you are, well, that's when you make an appointment with someone like me or a counselor or therapist to work with you a little bit on how did that belief come in and how can you release that belief. So there may be work for you to do on a number of levels to work with one self-limiting belief. But what I know is, friend, it is totally worth it. It is totally worth it, and you are totally worth releasing. 100%, absolutely. You are worth releasing. Friends, do you believe that you are worth living your dreams? And do you believe that those dreams are worth a little soul work? That's a pretty big question. I believe you're worth it. And I hope you do too, because life can be full of so much love, so much joy, so much abundance when you do the work of your soul and trust that the universe loves you, trust that the universe supports you, have faith in the invisible, that God is with you always. As we begin to close this podcast for this episode, I want to take you through a forgiveness mantra that you might want to try. And this is a great and simple mantra to use to just begin to forgive on a deeper level. And the way I do it is I repeat the words, "I forgive you," as a mantra over and over in my mind all day long. So no matter if I'm talking on the phone or I'm with a client or I'm with a member of my church or I'm talking to a friend, the rolling thought in my mind that becomes a silent mantra is very simply 3 words. I forgive you. 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 So we hold a moment of silence as we move more fully into forgiveness, saying this silently together. Notice, if you will, as you do this work, that the energy fundamentally has already shifted within me, within you. I forgive you. Forgiveness frees. Forgiveness heals. Forgiveness releases you from the bonds of the past and moves you into the reality of the present, where anything is possible for you, friend. Anything. My prayer for you, as you do this work of your soul, as you release the old baggage, that you will continue to look at what is stopping you from living these dreams. What are these old self-limiting beliefs? What are these ways that you're holding on to things in the physical world as it relates to your career, to your finances, to your relationships? What are those things? What are those physical things? What are those beliefs? And then finally, what is the emotional and spiritual things you're resenting, you're holding on to, the hurt and the pain? Because we know those things need to be released finally and forgiven. And that as we do this work, every time we release, every time we look at those beliefs, we are moving into greater faith, greater trust in the universe, knowing that truly, truly, it is the Father's good pleasure to give us the kingdom. And this kingdom is full of hope, love, peace, joy, abundance, and all good for you. So my prayer for you, dear friend, as you go throughout this week, is that you will release old baggage, right? So that you can move into this beautiful life that's been prepared for you. So I thank you, dear friend, for joining me today. And as always, blessings on the journey, dear friend.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of The Authentic Spiritual Journey here on the Experience of the Soul podcast channel. This channel is made possible because of listeners just like you. If you would like to support the channel with your tax-deductible contribution on an ongoing basis or through a one-time gift, head over to experienceofthesoul.com/support. The Authentic Spiritual Journey is copyright 2023, Cynthia Alice Anderson, all rights reserved. Our theme music is composed by Dave Croft and used with permission from RR Hot Publishing. The Experience of the Soul podcast channel is a production of 818 Studios.
Thank you for listening to the show today, dear friends. I'm always happy to have you along the journey. If you're seeking deeper work, though, I'm going to invite you into one-on-one coaching with me. In my coaching work, I get to glean from my over 30 years of experience of working with individuals and leaders in the community on their spiritual journey. So I have a wealth of information that will help you along the journey, and it will be supportive. It will be supportive of your dreams, goals, and desires, but it will also be confrontive, because I am going to help you confront those limiting patterns and beliefs and help you break through those aspects and move into looking at life in a more holistic way. So even though it will be confrontive and at times even challenging, you will learn to grow, you will learn to prosper, and you will evolve into the person you have always wanted to be. Friends, the answers lie within you, and I am so honored to help empower you to live that truth and that goodness in the world. If you want to learn more about coaching with me, simply go to CynthiaAliceAnderson.com and go to the coaching section for more information. That's CynthiaAliceAnderson.com and go to coaching. And I'll be happy to set up a one-on-one call so we can discuss how I can best support your journey. Thanks again for joining me today, dear friend, and blessings on the journey.
Hey friends, Sean here, your Experience of the Soul producer. I want to take a moment to tell you about something truly exciting. The Soulworks online community, created by your host, Cynthia Alice Anderson, and available on the Mighty Networks app. If you're looking for a place where you can explore your spiritual path, connect with others, and grow in a meaningful way, then this is for you. Soulworks is so much more than an online community. It's a safe, inclusive space for spiritual exploration, self-discovery, and personal transformation. Inside the community, you'll find everything from uplifting spiritual studies to soul-centered growth practices, meditations, affirmations, and so much more. It's a space where you'll always be supported and never judged. The best part, membership is free. You'll have access to powerful resources, inspiring content, and a supportive group of like-minded people who are all on their own unique spiritual journeys. And if you're ready to dive deeper, there are premium options available to enhance your experience with a live Monday night talk series and extended, deeper meditations. If you're seeking a place to connect, grow, and nurture your soul, we would love to have you join us in the Soulworks community and see where this journey can take you. Visit my.soulworkscommunity.com today.